Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it is remaining fairly unsettled with a lot of rain around, gusty winds and generally average to above average temperatures, bar from what we're going to be seeing this weekend is the early part of next week, where we will see perhaps 48 to 72 hours of some cold weather as we see Arctic air return from a transient northerly wind. That could produce a few wintry showers here or there in the north through Sunday and Monday, and overnight frosts widely Sunday night into Monday and Monday night into Tuesday as well. So do be prepared for the risk of a bit of ice in the morning. But apart from that, it is going to be generally average temperatures into sort of the low teens for the next couple of days, and then as we head into the middle part of next week and beyond, it'll be back into the low teens once again, but unfortunately doesn't look like there's going to be an end to this rain, cloud and wind. It's going to continue to be really quite unsettled, and even when we have a look at the longer range with the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles, doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of respite. In fact, it is looking generally cool and unsettled for the rest of the month, all the way into the start of April. So really not particularly spring-like as of yet. We're not really seeing any pretty nice dry conditions yet, and we are going to be waiting quite a while, I think, for our first 20 degrees of the year, which we have seen this time of the year in years gone past. So we'll have to see what happens. Of course, I'll keep you updated with what is going on. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. So starting on the live radar, you can see sort of a classic showery, blustery day, and you can see the lines in these showers all going from the southwest to northeast, showing you the alignment of the isobars around the low pressure system, which is sat just to the north and west of the Republic of Ireland. And you can see these showers are all moving on a northeastward track. So the heavier showers at the moment are through southern England. A few heavier cells mixed in here, these oranges and reds, indicating torrential rain is being seen, perhaps some hail and perhaps even some lightning. And you can see a lot of these little cells popping up even around London and the southwest, just showing there is quite a bit of instability around, and we're seeing quite a bit of convection. No massive thunderstorms. It's too early really in the year to be seeing those, but still some very hefty showers coming in. Further northward, still some of the blustery showers through the Midlands and Wales, not quite as heavy, and more showers through northern England and Scotland as well. And of course, some quite widespread bands of precipitation, heavy precipitation through Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. And this is because we've got the centre of the low just off the coast of northern and western parts, and it is slowly heading eastwards. So these widespread showers will move eastwards over the course of the next 12 to 24 hours, and it will be giving a lot more showers. So do expect showers for the rest of today into tomorrow as well. And of course, eventually, when this low does clear on its backside, we're going to be seeing northerly winds push in, and that's going to bring the colder air through Sunday, Monday, and lingering into Tuesday. Now, if I do put on the temperatures as of around 11 a.m. in the morning, you can see it's pretty mild out there. Nothing exceptionally mild, but nothing really cool at all. Generally average to slightly above average. A lot of yellows mixing in there, indicating temperatures into the low teens, maybe peaking at the mid-teens around mid this afternoon. But again, nothing especially warm, especially when that wind gets going and the cloud and rain rolls in. It will make it feel a lot chillier. So if you do see a bit of sunshine, it may feel pretty decent out there. But once again, that is all dependent on shower activity, which is very difficult to pinpoint at the moment, and it's going to be very much on and off over the course of the next couple of days before turning a little bit dry, as I said, with the colder spell, and then ramping up once again into the middle of next week. So do have a look at the UKV and have a detailed look at this precipitation and temperature and the temperatures over the course of the next 5 days. And you can see through the rest of today just lots of heavy blustery showers moving in. Pretty much nowhere it's going to be able to fully escape the risk. Definitely areas will escape those showers, but the risk is completely up and down the country. As all areas will have the risk of these showers, and it will increase as the centre of the low moves eastwards overnight tonight, especially for the Midlands and Northern England and parts of Wales. However, into Saturday, you can start to see a bit more snowfall over the Scottish Highlands as cold air does start to dig in. More showers through Saturday, and then eventually we see another low pressure system slide in from the south ahead of the colder air. Really heavy rain could be seen along this through Saturday night into Sunday. Pretty severe little area of low pressure. Again, if it had slightly stronger winds, I wouldn't be surprised to see this named, as it's got quite a defined sort of a low pressure centre there with big rain bands around it. Again, we'll have to see exactly what happens with this little system, but at the moment we're not expecting winds much above 40 or 50 miles per hour. They could perhaps gust slightly higher, and if it does intensify in the next day or so, wouldn't be surprised to see if this was named perhaps as it slides along the south coast. However, in the north, snow showers starting to pack in through Sunday, and this is the cold air flooding in, giving all areas that Arctic feel. Again, snow showers do reduce as a ridge of high pressure does topple in. It is very much a transient northerly, and then through Monday it is frost and generally sunny and pretty pleasant through Monday, but it'll be frosty in the morning and frosty in the evening. And then as we progress into Tuesday, once again we see another frost into Tuesday morning before rain moves in and we start to see unsettled conditions return, turning cloudy, windy and rainy once again from the middle of the week. Now, if you look at the upper air temperatures, you can see through Saturday evening that cold air is drifting southwards, consuming all of us through Monday before eventually clearing away a bit into Tuesday and into Wednesday, really only lingering in the far north before we see milder air, wet and windy conditions coming in from the southwest. Now, if you put on the 2 metre temperatures, you'll be able to see there is a stark contrast over the coming days, or the next day or two, then into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, which is a lot colder before it does climb up again into the middle of next week. Now, through this afternoon, you can see 13 or 14 degrees perhaps in a few spots, again very much dependent on cloud and shower activity. Beyond that, into Saturday, overnight temperatures not too cool, perhaps 5 to 8 degrees, generally above average for the time of year. And into Saturday afternoon, still pretty pleasant in the south, 10 to 13 degrees, but again, all dependent on shower activity, whether that will be pretty nice or feeling a little bit miserable. Further northwards, still pretty cool, and it is turning cooler with that colder air drifting in. You can see those temperatures really starting to drop through Saturday night down towards freezing for many northern areas, and then into Sunday afternoon. Look at that, temperatures quite a bit cooler. The far south could get into double digits, but most areas 5 to 8 degrees, trending average to below average through Sunday. Now into Monday, widespread overnight frost for many areas into the morning. Again, uncertain exactly how far southwards we'll get, perhaps a bit of lingering cloud, but most areas will have the risk of frost and temperatures getting below freezing, and could even see a -5 or -6 in a few areas further northwards. Into Monday afternoon, it's going to be a chilly day. Windy temperatures, not expect to get much above 5 to 8 degrees, and again, factor on a bit of a wind chill, feeling more like 4 or 5. Again, it's the end of March, even with a really quite cold air mass, we're not going to see anything too frigid out there, but still a good few degrees down on what we've had recently and what we should be expecting this time of year. Through Monday night into Tuesday, another widespread frost, especially in the north and the east, for into Tuesday afternoon. The milder air does start to sweep in, but still sort of 5, 6 or 7 degrees in the north and the east. Still pretty chilly through Tuesday afternoon. For into the evening, milder air does start to move in. Still very cold in the north, but further southwards and westwards, 7 or 8 degrees around midnight into the early hours, so turning quite a bit milder there. So if we do now have a look at the EGFS and see how that does progress over the course of the next couple of weeks. Now you can see low pressure is over the top of us at the moment. It does eventually clear to our east, and it does allow that northerly wind to push in. We do see high pressure topple over us, and that gives us our frosty but drier conditions through the early part of the week for southwesterlies do push back in, milder air and turning very unsettled, not looking particularly great there. Could see some brief ridges of high pressure there. It's longer term, but right until the end of the run, into early April, still under lower pressure influence, feeling relatively cool. Not especially cold on the thermometer, but the field-like temperature will be cool with a lot of cloud, wind and rain about, not looking too much different to what we have now. So a continuation of this quite unsettled pattern, and of course if we see some of these more severe lows move in, could be quite stormy out there at times as well. Now if you look at the GM, see how that does compare. Again, low pressure running through us at the moment, northerly winds pushing in pretty chilly, high pressure over the top of us, giving us our frost and fog potentially early next week. And then beyond that, we do see more low pressure running in, turning very unsettled for a time. Before rise at day 10, we could see a bit of amplification in the jet stream. This could turn us slightly drier, but at the same time, if you look at those upper air temperatures, could allow something a little bit colder down the east coast. Again, uncertain exactly what happens with that, but definitely a little bit of a change, but nothing too drastic. Still generally unsettled into the early part of April before potentially high pressure could build in, but again, that would probably bring some frosts in places as we do drift some slightly colder air in from the northeast. If you look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare. Again, that low clears to our east, northerly winds push in, and the high pressure topples. We do see, though, southwesterly winds push in, and it goes really quite unsettled all the way to day 10. Hints, though, perhaps of high pressure ridging up from our south. Again, very uncertain exactly what would happen with this. At this stage, it still would be showery, but starting to turn milder. But if this high pressure got northwards, sat over the top of us, but a few hundred miles further northwards than it is at the moment, and brought in these warmer air masses, wouldn't be surprised to see something quite a bit warmer at the surface, maybe into the low 20s into early April. Again, this is one run, and as we'll see in the ensembles in a minute, it is an anomaly. It's on the warmer end of the ensemble spectrum, but definitely just showing you what could happen if we see the exact right pattern of the jet stream for this sort of conditions to evolve. Of course, we will have to see. Most runs, I must emphasise though, are still going for generally cool and unsettled conditions. Now, if you look at the ensembles, this is the midnight run from the GFS, you can see the colder weather over the next few days, turning milder into next week, but then generally average for the foreseeable future all the way until the 10th of April, there or thereabouts. Continuing to look pretty unsettled, but right in the longer term there is a reduction in the precipitation spikes. Again, not sure whether that does indicate just less frontal rainfall, or does that indicate proper high pressure moving in. We will just have to see how it does evolve, but that radio signal only really starts around day 10 onwards, so into the unreliable time frame. If we do actually have a look at the sea level pressure, you can see there is a little bit of a rise in pressure in the longer range, or at least a bit of a rise from the last few days of March and early days of April, but nothing too distinct. Around 1,015 to 1,020 millibars, you could say that is on the edge of higher pressure, but I wouldn't say that's a particularly strong area of high pressure at all. If you look at the dew points, you can see it is cold over the weekend. It starts next week, really cold dew points, down to -5 or lower, and then generally above freezing, but right to the longer range, around that sort of 3rd to 9th of April point. Dew points do turn a little bit cooler, so perhaps a fresher air mass, drier air mass, moving in again. Probably some of those northerly winds that we saw, similar to the GEM operational run, those sort of patterns moving in. And if we have a look at the 2 metre temperatures, again, quite up and down, but generally cold for the end of this week. Weekend into the start of next week, turning a bit milder next week, perhaps back up to 14, 15, and then the long range, more down to sort of 11 or 12. Some warmer runs appearing there. Those will be similar to the ECMWF operational run, but most are around the low to mid-teens. And if we just finish by looking at the ECMWF ensembles, you can see generally below average or well below average into the end of this weekend and starts next week, then above average by a few degrees into the middle of next week, but again associated with more low pressure, so probably won't feel all too warm, and then we're generally average, and there's a bit of a split appearing there, some going average to well below average once again, others trending more above average. Those ones are probably the ones that would follow on from the ECMW operational run, which does sort of end at day 10 unfortunately, but would be pretty similar beyond that. So a bit of a split appearing there, colder and milder runs, so the whole spectrum is here. We will just have to see what happens with that. And finally, just look at the sea level pressure. Once again, perhaps trending more higher pressure in the longer term, or at least higher than end of March, early April, but once again, nothing too succinct. We'll just have to see how this does evolve. So no real signs of anything too great at this stage, no real signs of anything warm or dry, perhaps some very small hints in the longer term, but again, some would argue we're just clutching at straws at that point. The general theme is it to be relatively average in terms of temperatures and relatively unsettled, bar from the brief blip we're seeing the end of this week into the start of next week, where we're seeing about 2 or 3 days of colder weather with frosts and generally drier conditions. It will be pretty pleasant out there, a lot of sunshine, but of course it will have a colder feel. So a bit unfortunate. We're going to see our first probably widespread drier, sunnier weather for a while. It's going to be associated with a lot colder air mass. Hopefully, though, as we progress through April, we'll see something a little bit warmer and drier, because no matter what sort of weather you do prefer, we haven't seen anything really too warm or dry for 6 months plus now. So we are definitely due something pretty decent like that, and I think a lot of people will be looking forward to that first sort of warmer spell, whether that's sort of low 20s coming up into April, or whenever we see something similar to that. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, stay safe this weekend as there will be some ice and frost around. It will feel cold, so make sure you do take the necessary precautions. It will be a bit of a shock to the system compared to sort of the 14-15 degrees we've had at the moment, but there shouldn't be too many severe impacts from that. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.